That's the external camera. Huh. Oh, okay. Confused, okay, that button there. I think we can turn the beacons off that too. Some of these hedges have fence posts in them, and others don't. The turn circle on this tractor is very good. And it's quite possibly more usable than a telehandler for these sorts of jobs. Okay, that's right about where we need it. Very slightly. Okay, once the gateway is clear, I'll be able to move that trailer out. I'll probably have to make a couple of headlands before we can do that though. Back through the hedge. Bring this one up here as well. I think I'll probably park it on the grass. This is our road, so it really doesn't matter. I'll block the lane. Okay, back in the harvester. And let's see how this thing rolls, unfold. We go. So there are a couple of patches of weeds we didn't get here. But this is a fully fertilised, pretty much mostly weeded field. There's no idea how much we're going to get out of this. It's our first time. But the store with the best price is almost right in front of us, just to the right of that large tree up there. And there's an exit on the north side of the field. So we'll be able to sell at least some of the grains over there. Although at the current economy level, we're going to make £10,000 per trailer. but I may need to borrow some money. Once these two fields, well, we'll see. Once these two fields have been harvested, we'll be able to see how much money we've got. But minus the land, we could buy a mid-sized tractor and a front loader and a chainsaw and actually do some forestry while we're waiting for the sunflowers to mature. And that's the north exit of the field. That's our sunflowers. I wonder how close they are to harvest. Those are growing. Just wondered. They may be ready to harvest same time as the oats, although I think they're probably going to be a little later in the fall. Another fortunate happenstance is it wasn't damp this morning. I believe we had another weather forecast of rain. Fortunately it didn't. We are expecting rain this afternoon. So if we can get this field emptied, that would be a good thing. Changing my mind, this wasn't a Fent that was released into FS19 by Giants, but it is probably a modification of Giants FS17 Fent, because I think they were on the credits. We'll make it around this field. Now, long-term plan, I'm probably going to keep this harvester and get a big one. Because some of the fields on this map are a little bit tight, and we're probably not going to easily get a large harvester with a large header into them. So having something this size is probably going to benefit over time. Plus, playing Law Folds, I was getting to the point where I need another harvester. On that map, another harvester would have been another Lexion. We'll do 1,000. I don't believe this is the Massey. The Massey is an in-game harvester. Now, what I think this is it's the... I mean, technically, yes, it is a Massey. Yeah, it's an ACO. So it's... And for 17, we had this harvester as a mod by Giants. You know, when they first released the game, they test out the mod hub by releasing some extra stuff. So for 19 they did Big Bird and Estancia Lapacho, and they didn't do the Fent harvester this year, but I think one of the modders basically took the Farm Sim 17 and a version and upgraded it or updated it for 19. Because the stats on that one are slightly different to the Massey. I don't think this cart's got a cover. That's a problem. Okay. So the harvester will get us just under 2 loads. Or, sorry, the harvester will, 2 loads from the harvester will get us just under 1 full load for the car. And from my understandings, it's easier to take a mod and edit it than it is to pull something out of the game files. Which is why I think this is probably the 17 mod that Giants produced, refurbished for 19. Okay, so that's one headland. I'll see if we can get away with 2. This is quite a small, agile harvester. I haven't done any modding, but you know, obviously each mod has mod files, and it's easier to use those mod files than go hunting for however Giants embed the in-game equipment into their stuff. I mean, I presume there's still something akin to mod files, but they also tend to restrict the use of, yeah, there's something about their files that won't easily load into the editor, because obviously what they don't want is people who bought the game early in the US got the Mahindra. They don't want people just, hey, everybody have the Mahindra, let's put that mod on a website. Because then what's the point of buying early if everybody can get hold of it? Yeah, why bring out paid for DLC when someone can just pull the stuff out of the files and release it on you know, a mod site that's not the mod hub. That's why for 17 you didn't see much in the way of square bale wrappers, because that was functionality introduced in a paid DLC. As I said, the Axion is a mod, and it's a mod created by a guy who released a lot of class mods in 17, and so he's just modding his Farm Sim 17 mod up for 19. But he quit doing class equipment when he found out that Class and Giants were doing a deal, so it's the only class mod he produced for 19, and I used a lot of his mods in my long playthrough for 17, so I'm keeping one of them on this farm. But any future class tractors I get will be part of the DLC. We missed a bit. That gets way too tight. I think what we'll do is that. Yeah, made it. What am I doing? I think the Massey has a 10,200 tank, I could be wrong. We could do a comparison next time I unload. I think they want to be protective of their own stuff while they're charging people for it. Obviously, things like the Big Bud and square silage wrappers, or square bale wrappers, they're not so fussed about for 19 because they came with the game or they were released as a mod shortly after the game was released. But things like round cotton bale harvesters, I don't think we're going to see much in the way of mods on that front, unless someone can figure that out for themselves. We're about full. Doing. Alrighty, so we're going to jump out, grab the Axion. Okay, 8,600 per tank from this. And harvesters. Oh, that's 8,006 as well. 306 horsepower. Yeah, this is a slightly lower horsepower vehicle. Only 19,000. I think we'll go again, and we'll empty the harvester one more time. Or at least we'll top up the trailer once we're full again. Could go for a third headland, but like I said, I'm not sure we need it. Okay, so somewhere over here. See how straight we can keep this. Okay. That's better. Yeah, and that's kind of why I picked this one. I've used in the past, I don't think I've ever used the Massey, but I've used some of the Rostel Nash. A lot of the time, my first harvest, I'm renting the equipment, so I don't really pay much attention to what harvester I'm using. As you've seen with this one, we have, we borrowed £300,000 in order to get a harvester for this year, but this harvester is going to remain on the farm, even if we get a bigger one next year. But normally a lot of the farms I play are very small fields, so I don't mind getting something tiny for the first year. Don't think I've loaded them this time. But there's a very small New Holland harvester, more modern than the TX32. It's a modern one of those. I've used that one. I don't think I've gone up to this one because it's 100,000 step up to the Massey. So if I'm renting, I'm going to pick smaller harvesters normally. So I've used the modern version of the New Holland, and there's a small case mod harvester that I've used. I think the smaller case was standard harvester in 17. I think the small New Holland was as well. So we used a lot of the small mod harvesters for the first year, especially because I play farms like Oldstream and I think Mercury Farm, and for the first year I really don't need a big harvester. It gets a lot of use, but I just don't need a big harvester. Now that field just to the south of us is huge, and that's going to be a lot of work done by this harvester. Probably going to take us most of a day to harvest. But that's fine for now because we've only got 5 arable fields, and they're probably going to be harvested on different days because they're ripening at different times. So because of that, I'm not too worried about the volume of crop that I can pull off a field in one go. But in coming years, we'll be getting our planting more uniform, buying more fields, which means the more fields you have, the more pressure there is during harvest to get the harvest in before inclement weather happens. And at that point it makes sense to have a big harvester so that we can get the work done. As I said, I'm seriously considering keeping this one just as a backup, and I can do the smaller fields in this one while we're going to be getting a Lexion. The Lexion is doing the bigger fields. But yeah, it's not working with a 9-foot header on a harvester for this map, even as a starter, is and that's part of the thing I've noticed with a lot of Oxygen David's maps is you start off with at least one big field, so you're only getting one crop out of it, but yeah, it's going to take you a while to do all of the work on it. Okay, jump out. Yeah, I understand that because I've started watching Ollie of Ollie's Farm on YouTube, and he has a bunch of his fields planted with potatoes, and he has nothing to do with the potatoes. He contracts that out. But it's all kind of taken care of, if you like. He doesn't have the haulage equipment or the harvesting equipment or the planting equipment, but he will somewhat prepare the fields for them before they come in and do stuff. Okay, so we don't actually. It's an interesting point. We upgraded the size of this wagon. It doesn't have a big motor. So I'm going to take this up to Hilltop Farms and sell it. This might not be a full load. It's not the best time. Kind of do with the cash. Oh, just enough. Yes. 24. So there's about 1,800 left in the tank. There's the that's the way out. And this is one of the reasons why I've gone for smaller grain carts and what have you on this map, is because these back alleys are not conducive to the really large sort of 50,000 litre trailers. Well, it does have rainfall though. So that should be about 12,000, 13,000. Okay. Now I do have a semi truck. So we will be getting a semi-trailer, smallish semi-trailer for hauling to market a lot of the time. And that's mainly because the carts or the truck's faster than the tractor. So should have about 1,800 there, as I said. Yep. So just under 3 full tanks from the harvester. And that sort of mechanic is kind of how contracts work in this game. You know, you go and contract a harvest job, and you're basically taking what has been contracted to market for another farmer. But in that case, anything left over you can sell on the open market or keep and feed to your pigs or whatever. The mistake I almost made with the baling contracts I did earlier this summer was I nearly sold the bales. And the thing is, with seasons, if you're doing baling contracts, the contracts are for silage bales, but in essence, because of the time it takes for the silage to brew, they are wrapped grass when you get to the end of the contract work. So you're delivering wrapped bales to the sell point, or some wrapped grass to the sell point, but you're getting credit for completing the contract to sell silage. But anything left over, you want to watch. With seasons, you've got to wait until that grass turns into silage before you sell it, because grass is worthless in seasons. Completely worthless. I mean, you're not going to get any digest aid out of it from the BGA. It's just, no point for it. In 17, what I used to do was I would wrap some grass, and then before it turned into silage, I would feed it as grass to the cows, because grass bales will decay, but wrapped grass turning into silage doesn't. Yeah, fertilising contracts are good because you can do them really quickly. And it doesn't matter if you're spraying or spreading. They've got a good width to them, so it doesn't take you long to cover a field and be done. Harvesting contracts, you get the bonus of crop that is beyond what is contracted. The other contracts are all just make work, and with seasons they don't pay well either. Now, baling contracts are the same as harvesting contracts functionally. The problem with baling contracts is the amount of bales you can produce. So if you take a big field, like say this one, you're going to get, I don't know, let's say 60 bales out of it. The contract calls for 56 bales. So you're going to end up with 4 bales left over. That's a good thing. And you're not hunting for additional grass to cut. The problem with a small contract is you might only get 10 bales out of it, and they're looking for 9, but you're hunting. You can end up in a situation where you are mowing everything in sight and then trying to bale up everything in sight just to make that last bale. And it's not because they want 10 bales, it's because they want, 10 bales is 40,000 litres. They want 38,000 litres. But you can't deliver 38,000 litres in bales. You've got to do 40,000. And there's only enough grass on the field to get 39,700, and you've got to find another 300 litres by mowing the headland, or mowing the headlands off the edge of the field and stuff like that. So when you're doing baling contracts, do the big fields, don't do the small fields. The small fields can completely mess you up. I think one of the baling contracts I had, I delivered somewhere in the region of about 20 bales. It got me the contract. Well, 19 bales got me 98% of the contract done. And So the 20th bale gets me over 100%. So there's a lot of wastage there that I don't get credit for because it's wrapped grass, and so that doesn't make money. But then every bale after that, you then have to ship it back to your yard and leave it for, I'm playing 6-day seasons, so 2 days before the bales are ready to actually sell as silage. What am I doing? Oh, we're nearly full again. I think the rest of the